lovely people, my name is Nicole, and today I want to talk to you guys about the Foxhole Court, or more generally, the All for the Game series by Nora Sakavic. If you have not heard of this series yet, that's probably because either, one, you aren't following me on Tumblr, link in the doobly-doo if you want to do that, or probably because it isn't like a physical paper book thing yet. I've heard rumors of it getting printed, but it's mostly just available on Kindle. I haven't checked to see if it's available on iBooks, but if you have an iPhone, there's a Kindle app. The first book is free and the other two are only $1 each, so it's super cheap and oh so worth it. So this series is intense. I do want to start off by giving a huge trigger warning for the entire series. Things do get kind of more intense as the series progresses. For sexual assault and abuse, both emotional and physical, and some pretty intense graphic scenes of violence and gore, as well as there's a few slurs thrown in there. But it's the kind of thing that's handled really well. I've heard it described as kind of a hurt comfort fic, if you are someone who is familiar with the language of fanfiction. So it's a bunch of characters who have experienced some really traumatic things in their lives, and they are trying to learn how to deal with them and move on and figure out who they are now in response to those things. I was hesitant to pick this up at first because it is technically kind of a sports book. The main characters all play this sport called Exy, which is a fictional sport invented by Nora Sakavic. It seems like it's kind of a lacrosse type thing, but it's played in this court that is entirely encased in like plexiglass, and it has some very violent tendencies. Fights tend to break out on the court quite often. There's a whole explanation of it on the author's Tumblr and I think in the back of the second book. So if you want to figure out more about that, it's there. So I was a little hesitant to start reading these books because I am not a sports person whatsoever, but so many people were posting about it on Tumblr, and then one of my IRL friends read it and told me that I should read it, and he is also not a sports person, so I figured, why not? I will give it a shot. If I don't like it, you know, the first one was free, so no harm, no foul. This book, I genuinely cannot recommend it enough. It's one of those books where the first one was really good and I genuinely enjoyed it, and then the second one, I don't know if I've ever felt so genuinely just like emotionally shattered by a book before. And then the third one, just all bets were off. For non-spoilery stuff, what I can tell you is that it's about this boy named Neil who was on the run with his mother for a while, and then his mom died, and now the only thing that matters to him, the only thing that he has left that he cares about is Exy. And one day he gets recruited by Palomito State University to play on their Exy team, and their team has a bit of a reputation. They are the worst team in the like class 1 district, and the coach is known for recruiting people only who have sort of complicated pasts, who come from broken families, who need a second chance or a third chance or a fourth chance. And so it's this kind of ragtag group of misfits and criminals. It's like New Directions from Glee if everyone in New Directions was really violent and did drugs. It's kind of amazing. It has a lot of really good relationship development and sort of learning to trust again type things, and really interesting like gang activity, kind of like mob stuff going on. I also want to say that there is some pretty good representation in this series. Two of the main characters have explicitly stated that they're gay, and one of the main characters is speculated by the fandom based on evidence in the text, and this has been sort of supported by the author online to be demisexual. So if you guys are looking for some really good representation in those areas, it's there. Like I said, the first book is free on Kindle, so go pick it up and then read the entire series and come back so we can talk spoilers, because I'm about to get spoilery. Okay, for spoilers, I wrote notes for this during class, and when I got to my notes for a spoiler section, I didn't know what to write. I have so many emotions about this goddamn series that I couldn't boil it down to just a few points. Although I did also write Renee as a cinnamon roll, because truest statement, and Rico is Joffrey. I feel like that's the best comparison I can make. Rico is basically Joffrey Baratheon. He is literally the worst. I hate him so much. And if you've read the bonus content on Nora's blog, I don't know if anything has made me so angry as the post about the things that Rico did to Jon. It's awful, and he's just a poor angel of a boy, and I want to protect him, and I'm so glad he's in, you know, a much safer place. And Nora said so many times on her blog, like, the last couple drafts were the only drafts where he didn't die, he didn't commit suicide, and I'm so glad that she changed it to make him okay, because that poor child, just, poor babe, he needs love and support and people who will love him and let him, you know, be himself and let him make the mistakes that he needs to make in order to grow and not torture him for it. I think maybe some of the most intense moments in this series for me were the time Neil spent in the Raven's Nest at the end of the second book. It was the kind of thing where I knew going into it was going to be a bad idea, but that, like, he had no other choice. Like I said, Rico is devil incarnate. I hate him so much, but it's like, it's the kind of like Dolores Umbridge hate where I appreciate that he is a brilliant character and I love him as a character, but as a human being, I want to stab him repeatedly. Poor baby Neil, just, he just wanted to help his friends, and he was just there so that no one would hurt Andrew, and like, Andrew got hurt anyway. The moment when he returned from the Raven's Nest at the end of that second book with the number on his cheek, I think I broke. That may have been one of the most heartbreaking moments in the series, just to see how utterly destroyed those 2 weeks made Neil. After everything he'd been through in his life, those 2 weeks at the Raven's Nest did that to him. The development of Neil and Andrew's relationship is one of my all-time favorite things ever, because they're the kind of couple that you look at them and you know they love the shit out of each other, but neither of them will ever admit it because they're too damn stubborn. But you know that whenever Andrew tells him he hates him, whenever Andrew counts up a little higher on the percentage, you know that he really means I love you. And the percentage of how much he hates him is really the percentage of how much he loves him, and it's adorable. And it's that kind of like as you wish kind of thing where it's like, it's code. We know it's code. I just love that they're both able to be there for each other, but like in a weird kind of way. I don't know, I was reading a lot of the bonus content on Nora's blog talking about how they function within their relationship, and how they never really get to the point where they're like casual touches, lovey-dovey, I love you sweetheart, all, you know, all that like super cheesy sort of sweet romantic coupley stuff, because like it's Neil and Andrew. Can you really picture them like doing that? No. But they do get to a point where, you know, they're really open in communicating with each other, and they do really trust each other. And like, I don't know, Nora said that the second Andrew realized that like Neil had been kidnapped, and like the second they were reunited after that, that sort of solidified it, that like nothing can ever break them apart again. And I love that their relationship may have started out pretty damn rocky, but it grew to be so strong and beautiful, and I love them so much. I keep wanting to compare our mains in this series to the mains in like the Raven cycle, because I know there's a huge overlap in fandoms, but just because that's originally how I heard about the series. The Raven cycle blogs that I follow started posting about Foxhole Court, and I actually got really confused in the beginning because I thought that they were talking about Raven cycle because, you know, Foxhole Court, 300 Fox Way, and then they both have books called The Raven Boys. It's confusing. It's understandably confusing. I feel like, I mean, there's definitely a parallel between Ronan and Gansey and Andrew and Kevin. I definitely think Ronan is a lot like Andrew in a lot of ways. Ronan, I think, is in a better position to heal and didn't get quite to the point that Andrew did of just emotional trauma, but I think they have a similar personality type. And then, you know, we have Neil and Adam being that sort of parallel, and then of course Noah and Seth, because, you know, dead. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I think there's some really interesting character parallels that maybe is why the fandom has such a huge overlap. I absolutely love the ladies in the series. We have Dan and Allison and Renee, all of whom are just flawless human beings. And I love that they're so diverse in their personality. I mean, you have Renee, who clearly has a past, but she has sort of taken accountability for the things she's done and worked really hard to move past it. I mean, one of my favorite quotes from her is, "I am a bad person trying very hard to be a good person," and I feel like that's a really good representation of Renee. I think that's from one of the bonus stories online. And also, I mean, her hair is just always goals. But she is just such a sweetheart. And you learn about these crazy things in her past, and it's almost hard to picture her doing those things because she's such a goddamn angel now. But the more you piece together, the more it makes sense. And the more it makes sense that she's been the only one who's really been able to get past Andrew's wall at all. Even more so than his own twin brother, although I mean, let's be real, Andrew and Aaron have their whole set of their own issues. And then Allison is this fantastic, I will kick your ass and I will do it backwards wearing heels kind of girl. I want to know more about Allison. I want to know more about what she goes on to after college. I love her. She is wonderful, and she's so unwilling to compromise who she is to meet other people's expectations, whether that's her parents' expectations for her to be this perfect princess or her opponent's expectations for her to completely abandon all that life, all the glamour and all the hair and makeup and all that stuff. She is who she is, and she's not going to apologize for it. And then Dan. I love Dan so much. And I love Dan and Matt's relationship. I feel like it's a really good, solid, like, really healthy relationship in a book that is just chock full of so many complicated, difficult, not healthy relationships. Dan and Matt are just so consistently solid, so consistently healthy, and it's beautiful. And Dan is just goals in every aspect of life. She's a badass, she takes no shit from nobody, and she will kick your ass with her eyes closed and hands tied behind her back. And I love her very much. Andrew and Aaron are they're interesting. I definitely loved seeing their relationship sort of evolve throughout the books and different pieces of their relationship be revealed, especially in that they sort of had to realize in really extreme circumstances that, surprise, they actually care about each other like a lot, and they would do anything for each other, specifically including and mostly, usually including murder. Fun stuff. Fun times. I'm a little disappointed that we never got to see Aaron's trial. I mean, I'm hoping he gets off on self-defense, because it was basically self-defense. It wasn't his fault. He was defending his brother. And then I love Aaron and Caitlin's relationship and how Caitlin was just a sweetheart. But when it came down to it, like, she knew that she and Aaron could never, like, be fully happy together until Andrew and Aaron figured their shit out, and she was willing to step up to the plate and finally just tell Aaron what he desperately needed to hear. And I 100% respect her for that. I loved seeing all the really dark, gritty, kind of badass, scary, like, mob moments in this. I mean, some of the politics kind of flew over my head a bit, as did a lot of the sports. But it was so intense and dark and made what could have been just like a weirdly intense sports novel so much more epic. It's quite a book series, and I don't know if there's anything else really like it. If you can't tell, I kind of loved this series. So yeah, please tell me what you thought of it in the comments, because I clearly have a lot of emotions and am 100% down to keep talking about this series in the comments. So yes, let's chat. I love you, and I'll see you later. Bye!